Hey gang, AV here, and welcome to my review of the Boss Fight Studios Vitruvian Hacks Series 1 Achilles, the Myrmidon King. Here he is in the packaging. As you can see, his name is Achilles. That's his occupation. This is an adult collectible. So kids, stop watching. This channel isn't for you. Here is Hacks, and that's what it stands for, a highly articulated character kit system, which basically means that the character, his accessories, armor, even his body parts are all interchangeable with other characters and figures in the Hacks line. Ooh, excuse me. He has original artwork on his card, which is very nice. He is in collector-friendly packaging. Let's flip him around to the back of the packaging. Have a look at his file card. As you can see, the file card is roughly the same size as a vintage G.I. Joe file card. If you'd like to read it, feel free to pause the video and do so now. So, as you can see, it's got a lot of depth, a lot of detail to these characters. They go to the trouble of actually fleshing them out, give them a personality and a backstory, and I really think that's great. I think more toy companies should do that. Here are other figures available, at least at the time of this figure's release. Some of these have sold out since then, unfortunately. Here is a QR code, which will take you directly to the Boss Fight store online. And that's about it for the packaging. So let's get him out of there and see what he's all about. Slide this over. Take him out of the box. And as usual, we're going to have a look at his accessories first. Now, he has this big bag of accessories down here that's taped in. Alright, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. So, let's open this up and have a look inside. Alright, let's dump all this stuff out. Yeah, he comes with a lot of stuff. Alright, so right off the bat, he has his sword sheath and strap, which will go over the figure's shoulder and head. This does rotate, it's just pegged in, but it's free to move. He has an extra set of hands, which I'll get to once I get the figure out of the packaging. Explain why they're there. He has an extra right foot, which, again, I will address once I get the figure out of the packaging. He comes with an extra head. Which are always good to have alternate heads, especially if you army build. Here he comes with an extra neck peg, which you would put into the bottom of the head to allow it to connect to the neck. Now, this is that barbell peg I was telling you guys about every time I do a review. Basically, this goes in the base of the skull, that goes in the top of the neck, which allows 2 points of contact, two ball joints for it to move on. And it's shaped like a barbell. So there you go. All right. He has his standard figure stand for the Boss Fight Studio figures in the shape of the Boss Fight logo with 2-foot pegs. He comes with 2 identical axes. Each axe has some silver, black with gold trim. Very cool. He comes with his short sword with a flared blade. He comes with his spear, which has black, silver, and gold on it. Looks like a little bit of gray, too, for the handle. He comes with his helmet. Which actually fits the bald head a little bit better. Maybe why they give you the bald head. It'll still fit on his other head, though. Don't get me wrong. He comes with this shield, which is very intricately painted. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And I'm trying to get you to be able to see all the details without the glare, which is easier said than done because of the lighting in my studio here. So, a lot of stuff going on the shield. I love the painted detail on the shield. I mean, it looks fantastic. Here's the underside. And I've mentioned it before. These notches here and here and here and here, they do have a hole in them so that you can actually run a string and then hang this on his back using those anchor points for the string. It's pretty cool. I like the fact that they did that. And now, let's get the figure out of the packaging. And right off the bat, you'll notice he's got a silver foot. You've all heard about Achilles' heel, so his weak point was his foot. And I hope you read his file card, because I don't remember why it's silver. But if you read his file card, you'll know. So, and it just pegs in there, just like any other foot would. And if it's actually kind of loose in there. Not sure why. But, you know, if you don't want his foot to be silver, you can replace it with a regular foot. That's why they gave you the swap out. And I'm actually a little concerned there. Shouldn't be that loose. Oh, all right, it's in there. All right, let's have a look at the figure himself. Got a decent head sculpt on him. This is actually the same head sculpt I used for my custom Perseus figure. I just shaved off the hair and added a hair piece because I felt that his face looked a lot like the Perseus from the classic films. So anyway, he's got very cool looking armor. I like the gold trim on there. Even the buttons are picked out in gold. I do like his armor and his leg guards as well. I think they look sharp. All right, well, I've got him in my hand. Let's go over his articulation. Then I'll gear him up and do size comparison. So like I mentioned earlier, his head is on a barbell joint, which allows him to look down a decent amount, up a little bit. He can rock his head from side to side. He can do a full 360. And he can even move his head back and forth a tiny bit. His arms will do a full 360. Hindered a little bit by his shoulder pads. They can go up about that far. There's nothing at the upper bicep. His elbows can do almost 90 degrees. Almost 90 degrees. And are on a peg, which allow them to do a swivel. Almost a full 90 degrees, but somewhat hindered by the back of his elbow there. His hands are on a peg, which allow them to do a full 360. And this particular set of hands will bend down and up. His alternate set of hands, which will bend in and out. That's why they give you the alternate set of hands. I'm a big fan of that. That just means you can get more natural poses out of him depending on which accessories you choose to pose him with. He does have a ball joint for an ab crunch. But it will pop his armor loose, and it is a pain to get it pegged back. Yeah, it is a nightmare on some occasions. So because I want to keep him as Achilles and I'm not going to customize him, I don't want to pop his armor loose on the figure. It is there, but I don't want to risk loosening his armor up to show you that it's there. You can, by using his legs, get a little bit of a twist out of him without popping that, but you can see it wants to go. So I'd rather not do it. You can, I mean, you're not going to break anything. I just want to reiterate. I mean, you're not going to break anything. The armor is meant to come off. You can swap it out and put it on other figures. It's just my personal preference. I don't like having to fight with these pegs on this particular set of armor any more than I have to. And I like the fact that it's closed on both sides, which is easier said than done on these figures, and I don't want to push my luck. So there you have it. His legs can do a split about that far. More if you don't mind the seam being obvious in his armor there. He can do a can about like that. Again, you'd have to really bend this up and out of the way to get anything more than that out of there, and it's going to fight you and put his leg back down. He is double jointed at the knees, so he can get his elbows back about that far. His ankles peg in, so they do a full 360 at the peg. They also have a hinge, which enables them to bend down and up. So, just like all the other figures that wear these full suits of armor, he is hindered by the armor. I mean, it's unavoidable. And if you loosen the armor enough to get his full articulation out of him, it is going to split. Again, it's not going to break, but it will look weird. It's not going to look right, and it's going to be difficult to get it back the way it's supposed to be. It's something that I would rather not mess with, personally. Now, this is his sword scabbard. This is his sword. It looks like his sword is too wide to fit in there, and technically it is, but you can get it in. It's just a very tight fit. Just to prove it, he can wear this helmet too. Again, it is just a tight fit because of his hair. It does fit the bald head a lot easier. His shield, I always bend these out of the way a little bit. You can get his hand around that loop. The handle is just a little bit more trouble than it's worth. It can be done. I just don't feel like messing with it. For the sake of the review, I just do that. And for basic poses, like him having his shield held, I mean, it's good enough. He can hold his axes in his hand just fine. And he can hold his spear in his hand just fine. You just gotta bend his fingers out enough to get it in there. Alright, don't make a liar out of me. Get in his hand. There you go. Alright, there you have it. Let's move this stuff out of the way. We'll do a size comparison now. Get him standing up. There we are. Alright, let's do a size comparison. Here he is next to a modern G.I. Joe figure who is 4 inches tall. As you can see, he's roughly about the same height, obviously taller because of the crest or the trim on his shield. Here he is next to a vintage G.I. Joe, 3 3/4 inches tall. As you can see, he is noticeably taller than the vintage figure. So clearly this figure will fit in better with your modern figures than he will with your vintage ones. All in all, I really like this figure, Achilles. This is the second version of him I have had. He's actually a good figure to army build as well. His armor looks very cool, and it's still generic enough to allow for you to army build the character. You just do a head swap and you have different personalities. Very cool figure. I do recommend him. He has some excellent accessories, a beautiful paint job. If you're able to, I suggest you pick him up. And this has been AV. If you like this video, check out my channel. If you like what you see there, then please subscribe. As always, thanks for watching.